29th of April 2024 and I have come out for a pleasant stroll and a latte. It's sunny today, there is quite a strong breeze but it's not cold. Dan was out early, so the cat's fed quite early. He's back tomorrow from his mum's. The two younger ones, Arthur and Miss Robin, they were out most of this morning and now they're all in, along with Big Boy, who never strolls very far. I have already done quite a lot this morning. I have started writing up the family history. This is for a special project. I can't say much about it at the moment, but it's a big project that will go into 2 volumes. I also have another project which is the Homeopathic project. This relates to probably 6 years ago in the November, on Armistice Sunday in fact, after the death of my father, who had been passed at that time, maybe 5 months. Dan and I had a walk around Homeopathic churchyard because I knew I had certain ancestors in there. I was looking for my direct ancestor, a farmer by the name of James Grierson, but I had no luck finding him. I did, however, find the resting place of one of his daughters who passed away in the early 1820s, about 5 months before her sister was born and who was given the same name. This sister went on to marry a blind man in Salford. I think they met at the Blind Institute there. Anyway, whilst walking around the churchyard, I happened to meet a cousin of mine, a Grierson cousin of mine, who lived up the road in Ruthwell. And it's alright, you can go by, it's alright. She gave me some pointers as to where I might be able to find my ancestors, although we had little luck as it was very wet and windy, and by the time we'd walked around the churchyard we were like 2 drone rats. We then went on to the Homeopathic Nature Reserve to see the birds being fed. However, one thing I did notice was that I was possibly related directly or indirectly to probably at least 2/3 of the inmates in that churchyard. And this project I have held on ice as various other things have happened in my life, but as I have started writing the family history, I will gradually work through the names and try and link gravestones to people, if that is at all possible. I'm starting my 2-volume project with the easier stuff first, which will then allow me, as I go along, to look into the more intricate aspects of it. I wrote just under 600 words today, and if I can write 500 words every day or every other day, then I'll be really satisfied, as it doesn't really need to be ready for a good while yet. I have this morning taken 2 bangs, 2 drops of my remedy, and it does taste a little stronger than the lower potency, although not unpleasant. And tonight I will have another 2 bangs, 2 drops, and see how I go on with that. I'm going back shortly to feed the cats and do some more work, and then see what happens as the day goes along. But I have a number of videos to edit, and I also have some sewing to do, and I might start to film another blog. This is Thursday the 2nd of May, and for some of us it's polling day. I shall be going along later to cast my vote of no confidence in any of
the candidates. I'm going to cross the names out and write underneath none of the above. I do not consent, and that will be that. Anyway, it's really important that everybody who has a chance to vote does vote, even if it is like mine, a protest vote. It's time for us to have our voices heard and not just go along with whatever's been fed to us or whoever's been fed to us in the past. I've just come back from the shops. I went to Home Bargains. I didn't find everything I needed, but I've got a few things. I'm in a bit of an irksome mood today. Dan had misplaced the new durry that cost me an arm and a leg. He found it in the shed. Yesterday we went over to Jamie and Broadstairs and I tried out a couple of semi-industrial sewing machines and chose a vintage Singer 201K, which they suspected I would like, which is in a fold-up table with cabinet. It has a hand crank and it's the type that even to this day tailors and dressmakers use. It doesn't have the original pedal anymore in the base cabinet. It's been wired out with electrics, but it purrs like a kitten and I'm very happy with it. Of course it weighs a ton, so that was a bit of fun getting that back, but Dan needed to move the furniture around and then put the durry somewhere safe and then couldn't remember where he put it, so I wasn't in a very good mood with him today. He came back home and found it in the shed after I'd suggested that perhaps that's where he'd put it. Also, our workman has not been able to work today because of his van. He'd had it written off again after being bumped by somebody, and because it happened last year as well, they are going to take the van today and leaving him without any transport. So now he has to try and sort something out. But in any case, I suggested to him that tomorrow, if he's still without transport, he can walk up and I'll give him a spot of lunch as well. The remedy is going well. I've been taking 2 bangs, 2 drops twice a day. The other day though, I only had 1 dose, the 2 drops in the evening. There'd been a lot of work around here going on and I just got caught up with things. My usual routine is somewhat disturbed. In general though, I'm managing to do well with it. I've not had my first dose yet this morning either, so I'm going to take 2 drops in a minute. I haven't had any aggravations at all though yet with this one. I think it's helping my body build up a bit more tolerance to remedies, and that's a good thing. Today is Sunday the 5th of May and it's a bank holiday here in the UK. I've just had a small piece of homemade rhubarb cake. It's yummy. We had a big rhubarb harvest last year and I froze quite a bit of rhubarb and we're still chomping our way through it. The rhubarb was producing right into November and then we decided just to call it a day. We split the rhubarb crown into 5 separate plants and kept 3. We repositioned 2 of them and I gave 1 to my friend Claire and our gardener had 1, and the rhubarb that we left in its original position has gone bonkers again this year, but we haven't picked anything off it because it needs to become established. Next year will be the first year of fruiting where we can actually harvest what it produces. Dan was up very early this morning doing a car boot sale over in Herne Bay, but it wasn't a very good one. There were a lot of putters who didn't want to pay much for anything. Nevertheless, we did get rid of some stuff, and even a few pennies are always welcome. I did washing, I did ironing. I was also up really early. I also did some video editing. I uploaded a video, and I also did some sewing. Then this afternoon, after Dan got home and after we'd had lunch, we went to see one of our neighbours further down the road, and she gave us some tomato plants, and we stayed for a cup of tea and a chat and made a fuss of a cat Monty, and now we're at home. I'm sitting upstairs relaxing. Dan's going to have a bath. He feels he needs to cleanse his aura. And then this evening we're having a tasty supper of calamari and zucchini in tempura batter with some leftover chips that we had from our Too Good To Go surprise bag last weekend from the Friar Tuck in Deal. And we're going to have some more salad. And then probably an early night. I've been using the earthing mat now for a good couple of weeks, and I must say it's been brilliant. I've got far fewer aches and pains. Even during the day, I'm having a really good night's sleep. So even if I feel a bit weary, I'm feeling a lot more refreshed when I do get up in the morning. The downside, of course, is that maybe something of a workaholic has taken on more tasks, but I feel able to because I'm not in as much pain with my back in particular. I am still on 2 bangs, 2 drops of my remedy morning and night. I took a dose this morning around mid-morning, and I will be having my second dose in probably about half an hour.